Welcome to Plot Spot, where Karen got what she deserved.
When my son was between the ages of 1 or 2, I would take him to a community center that had a great playroom. Anyone could use it for the cost of $1 or 2. It was a wonderful shared space filled with lots of age-appropriate toys and activities. We loved going there. Normally, there would be a few other families in there, and the kids could have someone their own age to play with. One day I was in there playing with my son when another mom entered with her kid. We were the only ones in the room. After a bit, my kid took an interest in them and went over to where they were playing. This mom would have nothing to do with it. She did everything to ignore him and wouldn't share any of the room's toys with him. Rude, my kid gave up and went back to playing on his own. A little while later, this other child came up and shoved my son down onto the floor. I jumped a bit, but when they are small, this sometimes happens as they are learning. I kept my eye on it, and the other mom who didn't even flinch. My kid went back to playing. Well, a few minutes goes by and that other kid knocked him down again. That was it. My son starts to cry and the other mom just sits there watching it, doing nothing. I ran over and scooped him up to comfort him. I asked the other mom if she was just going to keep letting her kid push mine down. Her half-assed response was something about how her son was just being a boy. "Mom bears no. You make our kid cry. You've crossed the line." I gathered him up and gave her a dirty look. No apology on her end, no correction of her son's behavior. Time for us to go. We were outside of the room in the hallway, putting our shoes back on to go. You see, you had to remove your shoes to enter the room and leave them outside in a cubby. That's when I saw her pretty little Doc Marten boots. I just so happened to have an unopened bottle of apple juice in my backpack. I took that juice and poured the entire contents into both of her boots. Then I walked away calmly. Needless to say that I didn't return to the playroom ever again, but it was worth it. Don't be a rude person and teach your kid some damn manners. A few weeks ago, my ex-coworker managed to get me fired from my job. It was a toxic work environment with clear instances of racism and homophobia directed towards me. On my last day, she mentioned an upcoming state evaluation by an inspector, which made everyone nervous. As the shift came to an end, my co-worker claimed that I couldn't file for unemployment because it would raise red flags for the doctor and his practice. It didn't make sense to me and I was shocked. So I decided to have a one-on-one conversation with my boss in his office, making sure to record the conversation. I directly asked him if it was my last day, and he replied that it was up to my coworker to decide. I couldn't understand why he, as the boss, couldn't make that decision. I left his office in tears and immediately called my wife to inform her of what had happened. She stood by me, assuring me that I did nothing wrong and that I was being unjustly fired. Filled with a mix of anger and frustration, I marched back into my boss's office and demanded a proper explanation for my termination. As the tears welled up again, I raised my voice, expressing my feelings of injustice and emphasizing that I didn't care if someone in the office had a problem with me. My boss responded sarcastically and nonchalantly, making dismissive comments. The following week, I received my final paycheck and never looked back. However, I still had to file for unemployment. By chance, I stumbled upon an email mistakenly sent to me, which revealed that my ex-employer claimed I was terminated due to tardiness and altercations. I knew these claims were completely false, as neither had occurred. I immediately contacted the Texas Workforce Commission, TWC, to address the situation. They informed me that my ex-employer had until the next day at 1 p.m. to provide evidence of the alleged tardiness and altercations. Today, I received an email stating that after further investigation, it was determined that my termination was not misconduct related to my work. As a result, I will receive unemployment benefits. I feel an immense sense of vindication and relief. This experience has taught me the importance of standing up for myself and seeking justice. Despite the challenges faced, I can finally move forward, leaving that toxic environment behind me.
Many years ago, I worked as a bank manager, and during that time, Visa/MasterCard debit cards were becoming more common. However, some older customers struggled to understand how they worked. There was one particular customer, whom we'll refer to as OCC, Old Cranky C*****, who was consistently rude and complained about various things, including the bank supposedly stealing his money. He was the most difficult person I had encountered in any of my branches. On one occasion, OCC came into the branch and verbally abused my staff, accusing someone of stealing money from his debit card-linked account. I reviewed the transaction history and noticed some unusual reference numbers, ranging from $20 to $100, occurring regularly. This warranted further investigation. Despite replacing his card twice before, with each card having different numbers, he continued to claim theft and accused us of charging excessive fees for replacements. To address the issue, I informed OCC that our investigations team would look into the matter, but he was uninterested and only wanted a new card. Being a small bank, upper management insisted on retaining every customer, even difficult ones like OCC, due to his substantial account balance. So despite his behavior causing emotional distress to my team members, the bank refused to close his account. After about a week, I received the investigation results, and they brought me immense joy. I relished reading the report repeatedly, making it my favorite reading material. I'll come back to this soon. A short while later, OCC stormed into the branch with his wife, visibly furious and ready to unleash his anger on anyone in his path, and that someone happened to be me. He barged into my office, accompanied by his wife, and threw his homemade transaction history at my face while launching a barrage of verbal abuse. I was subjected to every imaginable insult, with OCC turning red and struggling to contain his rage. However, I was prepared for this moment. I expected it and had mentally prepared myself. I felt a single bead of sweat running down my forehead. I was ready. OCC, you need to explain right now what the F*** all this is, or I am going to the police. Me? Yes, certainly. In fact, I had our investigations team look into these transactions. But it might be better if we discuss this, in private, just you and me. OCC. And this luki Eli not. You just wanting to lie. All this bank do is lie, and steal my money. Me, please OCC, I genuinely want to have a private conversation about this. If not now, perhaps you'd like to come back later without your wife. OCC. You better start explaining right now, or I am calling your head of ice. Me? Alright then, let's get started. I pulled out my meticulously organized manila folder, trembling with excitement. Me. Here's a list of the sources of these transactions. Shall I begin? OCC. You show the AAV illocated into a TS earlier, you chodoared. Me. Okay, napremium.com, russianslaves.com, **kingsoltsemuts.com, russianbrideswebcamsels.com. Witnessing his face contort with fear was a personal triumph. OCC, completely changing his tune. Ola, yes, that's all right. No need to content. OCC's wife. What? OCC. Nothing? Nothing. I understand what it is. It's okay. No need to continue. Me, collegegirls.com, my free cams. OCC's wife. Oh my god. At that point, he snatched the paper from my hand. I could see his wife, shocked and asking more questions, watching her husband's innocence fade before her eyes. He had had enough of me for the day. OCC. It's all sorted, love. Let's get out of here. It was my mistake. I had never seen an old man leave so swiftly in my life. Within a maximum of 10 seconds, he was already outside, his wife berating and pushing him as they walked away, defeated. Even years after leaving the company, my colleagues and I still fondly recall this event. It's the story we often talk about when we get together. It provided us with a sense of closure regarding his behavior. While I was there, OCC never returned to our branch. However, I heard that he became much kinder to the staff at the next branch a few suburbs over.
That's it for today. If you like this type of content, then please like, share, and subscribe.